Hello everyone, my name is Abhi and welcome to my channel. On this channel we talk about everything from credit cards to personal finance. And today we're going to talk about the American Express Gold Card. Now this card has become a favorite of mine. I was recently targeted with a 75,000 membership points offer after spending $4,000 on the card in the first 6 months of having the card. And I'm going to talk about my experience of having this card and using this card. So let's dive into it. Let's start with the basics of the card. The card comes with a $250 annual fee, which is quite steep. Now, it has a few credits to offset this annual fee. It has a $120 Uber credit that you can use towards rides or delivery. And it also has a $120 dining credit that you can use towards Grubhub, Seamless, and Shake Shack, and a couple of other partners. I value these credits at 100% because I use Uber and Grubhub about 3 to 4 times a month as is. And so for me, the value of the credits is about $240. So it helps offset the very high annual fee of this card, which is $250. But if you are someone who does not use Uber or Grubhub or any of the other participating dining credit locations, then this may not be worth to you. Let's also look at some of the multipliers that come with this card. So you get Forex back on US supermarkets up to a total of $25,000 a calendar year. You also get 4x back on dining, and you get 3x back on airfare that's booked directly with the airlines or through the Amex portal. And you get 1x back on everything else. For me, it makes a ton of sense because I live in New York and dining as well as grocery expenses have risen in the last year or so. I tend to spend about $700 on restaurants eating out, which I know is slightly on the higher side, but that's what I tend to do, and I want to be honest in this review. And then about another $300 on groceries every single month. So that totals to about $1,000 every single month. Now, if I look at the entire year as the time horizon, I'm looking at $12,000 in annual spend across dining and groceries. Now, if I used this Amex Gold card, I'd probably be accumulating anywhere in the region of 48,000 points. I'll put up the math on the screen. Now, because I generally tend to have other cards where I'm working towards a sign-up bonus, I would argue that I envision using this card about 60% of the time. So to me, the value of the spend multipliers is going to be in the region of 60% of the overall value. So if I take $12,000 in spend, if I'd spent the entire money on my Amex Gold card, I would have accumulated 48,000 points. But since I'm using it only 60% of the time, you will see on the screen how the math multiplies to about 28,800 points in a single year. For me, Amex points are actually very, very valuable because I tend to use them for air travel or sometimes hotel stays. Now you'll have to find a sweet spot, especially with Hilton sometimes, where you can find a good stay and get good value on your membership rewards points. But for me, if I value the membership points for air travel, I value them at about 2 cents per point. So for me, that computes to about 56,000 points, give or take. Now the reason that's great value for me is because I also have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which also gives you 3x back on online groceries, which is what I use to order in. But then I tend to like Amex as much as I like the Ultimate Reward points, just because I do use the Amex Reward points for travel a fair bit, air travel specifically. Now, a couple of things to think through as you're thinking about this card. One is, if you're planning to apply for the card, I would highly recommend going to Resi and checking the offers they have available. Now, when I got the card, when I was targeted with the 75,000 points offer, I actually did not see a secondary layer to the offer that I'm seeing now through Resi, which is you get 20% back in statement credits up to a total of $250 in the first year, which I think is also really good and helps offset that annual fee in the first year. Now also let's look at what the overall value I get from the card is in the first year and in the second year. We'll compare both the lower levels of redemption as well as the higher levels of redemption, which is through air travel part. On the lower end, if I use the Amex cashback redemption of about 0.6 cent per point, in the first year I'm looking at 75,000 points coming from sign-up bonus, and another 28,800 points coming from the spend across dining and US supermarket. So if I total that up and then multiply it with the 0.6 cent per point redemption value, I'm looking at about $623 in the first year. Now, if I carry that forward to the second year where I do not have the membership reward points coming from the sign-up bonus, I'm still looking at about $173 in value coming from the card on top of the value that I associate with the Uber and the Grubhub credits. Now, if I look at the higher end of the spectrum, where I'm able to get on average about 2 cents per point if I transfer it over to the partners that Amex has, then the math works out in the first year to the same number of points that I accumulate from the 75,000 membership reward points and the 28,800 points that I get from Dining and Groceries to a total of $2,076 in value to me. And then in the second year, if I remove the 75,000 membership reward points, I'm looking at only the 28,800 membership reward points that I get from spending. I'm looking at about $576 in value to me on top of the Uber and Grubhub credits. Now, there's obviously a question around opportunity costs. If I used another card instead of the Amex Gold card, what are the values I'd be getting and subtracting that from this value? But to keep it simple, I'm just using these numbers, but you can change it if you want to account for opportunity cost as well. The last thing I want to call out before we end this video is who shouldn't be getting this card. Now, if you don't spend on applications such as Uber and Grubhub, this card may not make a ton of sense. Just because you're not utilizing the Forex multipliers that exist on the card, which makes it a workhorse card for me personally. And then if you're forcing yourself to use the Uber credits or the Grubhub credits, then I guess it's not something that you should be looking at. Having said that, I personally really like this card and what it offers me in terms of my spending habits. So let me know what you thought of the video down below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.